Hi, Randy Lubin here, creator of Story Synth, and today I'm very excited to share a new format, Hexflower. This is a format I created with Raf D'Amico, game designer and UX designer extraordinaire. We've been working on it all weekend, and I'm very excited with how it turned out. So what you can see in front of you is a hexflower. Hexflowers contain a lot of hexes, which themselves contain words or images or GIFs on the main part of them, and extra information below if you want. And this could be geographic, as you see in front of you, or it could be something else about the state of the game, whether it's people's disposition toward you or the weather. And you can either make an entire game just with a hex flower, or it can be a companion to another game. So let's see how this works. You can click to move to another hex. You can also click the move button, which randomly selects a hex, either randomly from any of them adjacent to you, or you can specify rules. So for example, this hex here you can only go from there directly above or below. That's user specified. And like most Story Synth formats, all Story Synth formats, it's really easy to create and share these. You create them through a spreadsheet, and here's a template that you can copy. At the top, there's a bunch of custom options that define everything from the title to some of the text above and below the hex flower. Some custom options here I'll get back to in a second, and then all of the different tiles themselves. And so you can see the key columns here. There's the summary, that's what appears on the tile. Again, it could be text, it could be emoji, or it could be images. Full content, which appears below the whole hex flower. This is how you determine the probability of what direction if you're randomly deciding where to move, and you can add weights if you want. And then over here, you can change the background color or put in the link to an image, and it'll set the entire hex background to that image. So it's good for patterns or other types of images. Just to return up here real quick, some of the different custom options. So you can determine if there's always the same starting hex or if it's random. You can, if you're shuffling the different hexes up, you can determine if the one you start on is always the same. You can determine if the hex ends up being rotated 90 degrees to have a different orientation, so flat top or pointy top. You can determine if you can warp, so if you try and move off one side of the hex, do you appear on the other, or are you sort of stopped and you can't move further in that direction. And finally, there's a few different ways to randomize hexes. You can do it with copies or without, so sampling with or without replacement. So if you're doing it without copies, then you are just taking one of each of the hexes below and just scrambling up where they go. But if you're doing it with copies, you're going to end up with interesting duplicates of some and none of others. So for example, I'm just going to refresh the page, and now you'll see there's a regenerate button because it's regenerate with copies, random with copies. So I'm just going to hit, and look at that animation. Raf did such a good job. But yeah, you can see there's a completely random hex, but there's still the same starting location because of the preset in the spreadsheet. Let me look at that again. Oh, it's such a good animation. So yeah, that is the basics of the hex flower. And you can get really creative in taking it in different directions. I'm currently noodling on a game about the power struggles in the vacuum during a revolution. And you can see I'm actually only using a triangle subset of hexes, making all the other ones transparent. And clicking and getting information about what's going on, mapping the different state of where the revolution might be. So this is not a geographic hex flower. It's more conceptual, looking at the state of the world. And beyond that, there's a StorySynth documentation that you can check out, docs.storysynth.org, and go to Formats and Templates and jump down to Hexflower, and that will give you some more details on the key options that you can use. And then also just jump over to storysynth.org. Once the way to make this, it's super easy. Create a copy of the template, create all your own custom content below, make sure that you hit share, and anyone on the internet with a link can view. Then jump back over to StorySynth and scroll down, select Hexflower as the game format, paste in that sheet link, and it will automatically create a game that you can play and share with your friends. And of course, because it is a StorySynth game, it is real-time by default, so everyone looking at the same game URL will see the same thing at the same time, the same animations at the same time. So that's the quick tour of Hexflower. If you have feature requests, please let me know. I'm always going to be adding more features. And if you make something with this, I would love to see it, so please send it my way. Again, I'm Randy Lubin. You can find me on the internet pretty much everywhere under Randy Lubin, but feel free to tweet at me. There's a StorySynth Discord too that you can find linked to from the StorySynth Twitter account, and I'd love to hear from you. Take care and have fun designing. Bye.